All right, I've been reading a lot of threads and watching a lot of videos about weep holes and gunk and condensation in the intercooler. So today I'm going to pull the whole intercooler and take a look. This is a 2015 2.7 liter XLT twin turbo Ford EcoBoost F-150. So again, I'm going to pull the whole intercooler off because I just want to. I'm not much of a mechanic. But I do have some basic tools, so here we go. All right, first step, just get some ramps or jack stands. Lift the front a little bit, give yourself a little bit of room to get under there. Next, passenger side of the intercooler, you've got hose clamps here. I'm going to remove the ones that are closer to the engine versus the ones that are closer to the intercooler, because these seem to have some latchy gizmos or whatever that I don't feel like dealing with. So taking these hose clamps loose, and the first thing I notice when I pull it off is I do get some drippy oily residue coming out, which you can see, and it's oil. So I'm gonna go ahead and continue disassembly. Next thing I'm gonna work on is a tube on the intake manifold side of the intercooler. So this is the outflow of air. These are the inputs of air into the intercooler. These are coming directly from the turbos. Okay, the output tube of the intercooler hose clamp here, just loosened it up, slid it out of the way. And this here is a little snug to pull this tube off, so I don't want to bend anything. So the next step here will be removing this bracket that holds the intercooler in place. Just two, I think these are 12 millimeter, I can't remember. Bolts under the frame. We'll pull those off next, and the whole assembly should slide right out. Okay, the entire intercooler assembly is out. That was as easy as it could possibly be. The only little tricky part was there is a harness right up here, and it's on the top and behind the intercooler. You've got to unplug that. You're going to need to reach up there with both hands because it has a locking clip on it, while the intercooler is sort of resting on your chest. And unhook that harness in order to get the whole assembly out. So here it is, and we'll pull it out and inspect it. The lower intake tube does have some oil in there. I think that's probably not extreme, but it's there. So the turbos are blowing some oil into the intercooler. Again, this is a 2.7 2015 EcoBoost. And then there's this harness was plugged into this gizmo here. I have no idea what this does, but there's a tube, looks like an air tube, that goes back up to something. I'm going to figure out where it goes back to because I have no idea what this apparatus does. It's definitely connected to a harness. It does maybe seem to be a recirc type of thing, but if anybody knows what this component does, I'd love to hear your comments. Leave some comments. Let me know what that is. Okay, so the hose that exits this apparatus here, this unknown gizmo, which I'm curious to know what it actually is. If anybody knows, please leave a comment. It comes back up into the intake just after the air filter connects. I don't know if you can see that. Connects to the intake tube, which feeds the driver's side turbo only. So my best guess is it's some sort of recirc tube, and there's again a harness hooked up to it. So apparently some kind of valve for recirculation back into the turbo. I do not know what the purpose of that is, but there you have it. So I did not find a ton of oil, definitely no water, condensation or water in here. So my remedy here to get some oil out from time to time is a little screw in there, nice and tight, holding that hole. But in the future I won't have to disassemble the entire intercooler to drain whatever residue might be in there. Tiny little hole with a tiny little screw, just enough to let some oil weep out if there's any in there. So there you have it. I'm going to put it all back together. Okay, reassembly went perfectly. Just as easy to put it back together as it was to take it all apart. Don't forget your hose clamps, nice and snug. You're going to put your bracket back on that holds the intercooler up there. Don't forget to clip this gizmo back in there, and you got to kind of really jam it in until it clicks. There's a little release here. Make sure it doesn't pull out, and then one more hose clamp here. So 3 hose clamps, this dealio, and then way up there is the harness, which wasn't quite as bad to get to once I figured out that I could reach around the side here to do it. So it's all back together. I'll start it up. Make sure I have no codes. Looks good. All done.
There she is.
Hope you enjoyed.